I spent 7 nights in Belize, 3 nights in Ambergris Caye, and 4 nights in the Cayo districts, and I had an absolutely amazing time. In this video, I'm breaking down everything you need to know before visiting Belize, as well as the 10 things that I think you absolutely need to add to your itinerary to have the best time in Belize. Hello there, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Dominique. I'm a native New Yorker who absolutely loves to travel, and I bring you along with me as I explore New York City as well as all of my travels abroad. And for my trip to Belize, this was my third solo birthday trip. If you haven't checked it out already, it will be linked in the description. But let's get into everything you need to know. So the very first question most people want to know is Belize safe? This is not a blanket yes or no. I felt safe the entire time I was in Belize, even as a solo female traveler, but there are some pockets of crime that you want to be aware of. When you arrive in the country, you will be traveling through Belize City, but don't linger in the south side of Belize City because that is where you might find some areas of elevated crime. Now, San Pedro and Ambergris Caye is considered generally safe for solo travelers, tourists, and solo female travelers. I spent 3 nights here and I felt safe the entire time. I did stay a little north of San Pedro, about 5 miles, on a beachfront small luxury hotels of the world property, and I had zero complaints and no issues with regard to my safety. The same goes for Caye Caulker. I was only there for a couple of hours on a day trip, and the island moves very slow. The entire island's motto is go slow. Very chill, relaxed vibes here. I did not have any issues with my safety. I was there traveling with a group, but generally it seemed like a very chill, relaxing island to be on, and I felt safe. I also went inland to the Cayo district, to San Ignacio, and to Mountain Pine Ridge Forest, and I also felt safe while I was on this side of Belize. I had to do a number of private transfers since I did not rent a vehicle, and every single driver that I had was very nice. They were all men. They were very nice, courteous, and I did not fear for my safety at all. All right, language, currency, and practicalities. So even though Belize is in Central America, it is unique in that it was colonized by England, so the official language is actually English. So it's a very easy place for Americans to travel to because you don't have to worry about speaking another language. Now, they do speak other languages in the country, such as Mayan languages, Spanish, and Creole, but you'll be able to get by just fine if you speak English. Now, the currency is 2 to 1, so for $1 you'll get 2 Belizean dollars, so a very nice conversion rate there if you're coming from America. And USD is accepted everywhere. There are no issues with anyone accepting USD, and then also accepting credit cards was fine as well. US citizens do not need a visa. You will get a 30-day visitor stamp on arrival as long as you have 6 months of validity left in your passport. One thing to note also is that the plugs are the same, so you don't have to worry about bringing a universal adapter. Your plugs, if you're coming from America, will work just fine. And now lastly, tipping. The general percentage is about 10 to 15% if you're out at a restaurant or bar, but if you are staying at some of the luxury hotels, they will automatically add the gratuity for you, so be mindful of that. Just make sure you check your receipt before you add any additional tip, unless you absolutely want to give them an additional tip for service. All right, so the weather and the best time to travel to Belize. So being in Central America, the weather is nice year-round in terms of the temperature. It fluctuates between 75 degrees and 90 degrees all year, but the dry season is from November to April, so that's going to be the best time to visit for minimal rain and peak snorkeling visibility. This is also peak season, so be aware of that. Rainy season is from June through October, so you're going to see a lot of afternoon showers and humidity during that time, so you might want to avoid that. And you also have hurricane season peaking from August through October. So, Belize is not cheap. Belize is actually the second most expensive country in Central America after Costa Rica. I actually already posted a video on my channel breaking down all of my costs from my trip to Belize, being there for 7 days, traveling solo, and doing quite a few activities. I ended up spending $6,000. Now, I did splurge on 3 small luxury hotels of the world properties. I did not hold back on doing the activities that I wanted to do, particularly the Great Blue Hole scenic flight and snorkeling and all of the things. So that's just something to keep in mind. You can definitely opt for cheaper options in Belize, but I will say the costs do add up. So be mindful that this is not a budget destination. All right, so let's talk about how to get to the Keys, which you're probably going to want to visit if you're going to Belize. So you have Ambergris Caye, you have Caye Caulker, which are the most popular. So you have 2 options. You can take a domestic flight from Belize City to the Keys. I ended up booking with Maya Island Air, and it was only a 13-minute flight from Belize City to San Pedro. This is a small hopper flight. It's about a 9 or 13 seater. If you are afraid of heights, this is not the best option for you. The second option is the water taxi. The water taxi takes about an hour and a half. I've heard it's really bumpy, so that is another option if you are not interested in doing the flight. Now, once you are on the island, how to get around is something you need to know as well. When you go to Ambergris Caye or San Pedro, you're going to be getting around via golf cart. So don't arrive and think you're going to rent a car. You should look into renting a golf cart in advance. There are guys waiting at the airport to help people rent golf carts on the fly if you forget to do it in advance. In Caye Caulker, the island is so small that you could really walk from end to end. When I was there, I saw maybe a couple of golf carts, but most people were just walking or biking around the island. So if you're going to Caye Caulker, be mindful of where you're staying, and just know that you can more than likely get around just by walking if you're traveling there. Now, in the mainland, I think renting a car is definitely the best bet. I personally didn't want to rent a car because I didn't want to have to worry about navigating the roads in another country, but I will say the amount that I ended up spending on private transfers would have likely been the equivalent of the cost of renting a car, which would have given me a lot more flexibility. So if you have a license and you don't mind driving, the best way to get around on the mainland is definitely just renting a car. I don't think there are any traffic lights. The entire trip for me getting from Belize City to the Cayo district, which was about a 2.5 hour ride, on the roads, you're really only going to see speed bumps and roundabouts, but no traffic lights. And it was pretty seamless, just seeing it. Me as a driver, I know okay, this wasn't bad, but I didn't know what to expect coming into it. And so that also contributed to why I decided not to rent a car. Okay, this one is random, but continental breakfast is not what you think it will be in Belize. In America or in the other places in the Caribbean, if you go to Mexico, continental breakfast is more filling. It's like a full spread. You might have an omelet station. You might have a whole bunch of proteins, yogurt, granola, etc. In Belize, every single hotel that I went to, continental breakfast was simply juice, coffee, at most yogurt and granola and fruit. So if you're booking a hotel and it says continental breakfast, just be mindful. It's not going to be a big spread. You might need to end up also ordering an additional entree if you like a big hearty breakfast. That's essentially what I ended up doing, every day that I had breakfast while I was in Belize. I would order a regular standard entree, and then I would take advantage of the continental breakfast for the juice, coffee, and fruit. You will see iguanas and lizards all throughout Belize, especially on the mainland. So if you do not like animals, lizards, things that crawl all over the place, just be mindful of that. They will be around. They're not going to bother you. They're just in their natural habitat and doing what they do. But just be mindful that they are there and they're abundant. Bugs are also abundant. in the Keys as well as in the mainland. So you definitely need to make sure you bring some bug spray so you can avoid the mosquitoes. All right, so now the 10 things I think you must do to have the most amazing time on your trip in Belize. I think the Great Blue Hole scenic flight is the very first thing you absolutely cannot miss when you visit Belize. This was the reason why I wanted to come to Belize. I saw videos of the Great Blue Hole from the aerial flight on social media, and from then I was like, oh my God, I have to see that for myself. It looked incredible. I absolutely loved it. It was pretty pricey, but definitely worth it for the experience at least once. When you're in Belize, you have to snorkel. The second largest barrier reef in the world is in Belize, and if you ask a Belizean, they'll say it's the largest living barrier reef in the world. So that is definitely a must-do. If you've done research already on traveling to Belize, you've likely heard of Holchan Marine Reserve, as well as Shark Ray Alley. I also did Mexico Rocks. I enjoyed all of them, but Mexico Rocks was my favorite. It is a shallower patch reef system, and there was far more marine life over there. I saw so many sea turtles, coral reef, colorful fish. Holchan was very crowded with a number of other like boats lined up at the same time as my group had arrived. And then Shark Ray Alley, it's a very short experience because the tour guides will bring food that they throw into the water that like sort of corrals the sharks to come and into the area, and then once the food's done, they're gone. So shorter experience, but it was actually really cool to just see the harmless nurse sharks swimming all around you. A little scary at first, but definitely a very cool experience. If you're staying in San Pedro or in Ambergris Caye, you're going to want to do a day trip to Caye Caulker. There's actually so much that you can do here. I really didn't see it all, but on the day trip, I was able to go to the tarpon cove and feed the tarpons, walk around a bit. I got lunch at Chef Kareem's. I also got some ice cream and just like, walked around and enjoyed the island. There's so much more that you can do, and I'll put more information of what's available to see in the description. It's about $20 each way on the water taxi, and it's supposed to be a short ride, just about 30 minutes as well. You are going to want to go to Secret Beach. Secret Beach is a very popular beach. There is nothing secret about it. It's on the lagoon side of the island. The water is beautiful and calm, and there are a number of different restaurants like Blue Bayou that's really popular, and that's where you might see on social media people eating in the water and having like the fresh cooked lobster. I did not go during lobster season, so I wasn't able to experience that, but that's definitely something you're going to want to add to your list if you are there during lobster season. You have to visit the Mayan ruins, and for this you need to go inland to the Cayo district. Belize is home to some of the most significant Mayan archaeological sites. Now, there are actually thousands, but they all have not been fully excavated. So there are a handful that you can visit, like Caracol, Xunantunich, and a number of others that I'm blanking on right at this moment. I decided to do Xunantunich. It was a great experience. There are a number of tour guides that will take you here. Whichever site you choose, you're definitely going to want to get a guide because they can explain to you all of the rich history and culture behind these ruins that are honestly like incredible to see. It's just like so interesting hearing the time, effort, and attention that went into building the ruins and just learning about their culture. All right, next is the San Antonio Women's Cooperative. This is also in the Cayo district. This is one of the top 3 experiences for me while I was in Belize. I did the hands-on experience doing pottery and the cooking class, and it was just amazing. The cooperative runs by Maya women teaching traditional pottery, weaving, and cooking, and these techniques are passed down through generations. You actually participate, you're not just watching, and the money goes directly to the women and their families. So I definitely recommend booking this experience. Next, you have to visit the Mountain Pine Ridge Reserve. I really enjoyed this on my time in Belize. You can do tours here. I ended up booking a hotel, the Gaia River Lodge, and it was amazing. I particularly wanted to go here because they have a number of waterfalls. The one that I was able to go to was Five Sisters Waterfall, but they also have Big Rock Falls, Rio on Pools, and Rio Frio Cave. So there's a ton to do on the reserve. Lastly, you have to eat the local food, the fried jacks, the rice and beans, and corn tortillas. You can't visit a place and not eat their local food, so I highly recommend trying it all. When you go sit down at your hotel or any restaurant, ask them what are the traditional Belizean meals available on the menu, and they will point you in the right direction. Okay, so that is everything you need to know before traveling to Belize, as well as the 10 things I highly recommend doing on your trip. Everything that I have mentioned is linked in the description below, as well as some of my other Belize videos, just for more inspiration. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any additional tips for people traveling to Belize, please be sure to drop them in the comments. And if you are traveling to Belize and you have more questions, again, drop them in the comments and I'm happy to respond. So again, I'm Dominique. I post a lot of travel content as well as New York City content. And if you like that kind of content, I hope you go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.